Good evening, everyone. Today we are going to learn about kingdom Animalia. So far we have covered about plankton and everything. So today we are focusing about Animalia and sponges. So here, learning outcomes. So after completing this module, so students would be able to describe the characteristics of kingdom Animalia, and they will be able to describe the and identify the characteristics of sponges and their cells. I mean the special cells in the sponges, and also water canal system, and also their reproduction and diversity. So Animalia introduction. So we know that the animals are multicellular organisms. So for example, us. So we are animals. So we are composed of different cells, multicellular organisms. So we are eukaryotes. So animals are eukaryotes and cells with no cell wall. Most of the animals are motile. They can move from one place to another, but very primitive ones are sometimes sessile. So they ingest food. They take the food through mouths. So they are very diverse. So generally, animals can be like grouped into two: invertebrates and vertebrates. Invertebrates are the animals that lack a backbone. So you know that what's a backbone is. So like when it comes to vertebrates, they have a backbone. So here I have grouped, like I have showed two pictures. So one with invertebrates and the other one with vertebrates. So you can have a picture with the animals with backbone and not backbone. So yes. So next is sponges. So you might be familiar with this cartoon character. So it's SpongeBob. So exactly this cartoon character represent this animal in the marine. So that's based on a like marine environment, this series. So actually it represents the sponge. So sponge you can see here, like there are pores, isn't it? So small holes. So the same thing you can see in the picture in the left. So there are pores. Here you can clearly see the pores. So with their pores only they got the name Porifera. So with the pores they got the name Porifera. Actually we, for our easiness, we call them sponges, but they belongs to phylum Porifera. Okay, so we'll be studying about them. Yes, so here you can see how nice they are, like very colorful, and they are different, coming in different shapes. Okay, so they are sessile. They are sessile in nature. They are aquatic animals. So mainly they are found in coastal water. Few found, they can be found in deep water as well. So externally they exhibit different forms. So here actually I already mentioned. So you can see they are tube-like, some like vase shape, and some like some are very spherical in nature. So they have different shapes, irregular ones also there. So next we the life function revolves around the creation of water current. So water current for this sponge life is very important. So the water comes through, like through these pores. So you saw already the pores existing. So through this the water comes and then it goes out. So it's very important because through the water, whatever the food nutrients comes, they capture the nutrient, and also they put out their waste. So they're mainly filter feeders. That's how they capture their food. Feed on bacteria, dinoflagellates, and planktons. So all cells in sponges can be phagocytes. Phagocytes, we already discussed about this word phagocytes. So they can engulf the food particle and they can digest it. So they lack a nervous system and special sense organs. So as animal, like we know that we have a nervous system and we have special organs to see, to smell. So but this uh, animal, they lack any special organs or a nervous system. Some mollusks, fish and arthropods, they prey on sponges. Okay, some get sheltered. So some get sheltered with this sponges. So they are usually found associated with corals. Okay, so next we have sponges. Okay, like sponges have a unique architecture constructed around a water canal system. So we know that they have a water canal system. So we will be discussing them in the coming slide. So first I'll show this. Yes, so I can explain. Here you can see, so there are different cells. Okay, so the center part, they don't have mouth or the digestive tract or like respiratory tract or anything inside their body, but they have a cavity. We call the central cavity. That's through that only the water comes and go. So we call that spongocoel. What is that? Spongocoel. So water, here you can see the pores. Okay, through pores the water comes in and then goes out. These small pores in the body wall we see, they are called ostia. Okay, so the big one, the big hole at the anterior part of the upper part of the sponge, we call that osculum. Okay, so there are different cell types. So here you can see the purple one with the flagella, we call them canocyte, or for us we can call them as collar cells as well. So collar cells, here you can see like a vase like thing, we call that collar. Okay, collar. So that's how that name came. So they are collar cells. They usually line the interior part of the body, interior, inside the body. So usually these canocytes or the collar cells, they line the interior part of the body. So here you can see in the mid, the yellow one, the yellow one, this part is called mesohyl or mesenchyme. So mesenchyme is just the cells that fill the gap between the exterior and the interior. So this is the exterior part, this is the interior inside the body. So between that, this mesenchyme, they fill the gap. They are the filling cells. And also here light yellowish one, the star-like thing that you see, they are spicules. Okay, they are skeleton kind of thing which strengthen the body of the sponge. Okay, so next we have the amoebocyte. Amoebocytes are kind of cells that with kind of amoeba structure, they can change their function time to time. Okay, and then you have these porocytes. They are the cells that form the pores. So here you can clearly see these are the pores that we see exterior, but inside it's connected to a cell. So we call them porocytes, which create the pores. So these are the different cells. So canocytes, mesohyl, and then we have the amoebocyte and the porocyte. So here clearly we have like here in this slide we have given the description. So canocytes or collar cells, these line the interior body walls. They have flagellum. You saw that purple one. So they beat the water movements. They are the ones who control this water flow inside the body. So you saw that the collar like structure is there, so they absorb the nutrients. So mesenchyme, sometimes called the mesohyl, the middle layer, they fill the gap. Amoebocyte is very important. They time to time they can change. They can digest, they can secrete these spicules, the skeleton parts, and they take up different functions. So porocytes, they are the ones who form these pores. So next we have the special characteristics of this sponge called water canal system. So water canal system, there are three different water canal systems. So first one is here, you can see asconide. First one is called asconide, cyconide and leuconide. Okay, so asconide is the one with very primitive structure. So here you can see the middle part is the spongocoel, or the central cavity is lined with this collar cells, canocytes. Okay, so this is the like exterior part which connects the water. So the water comes in through this porocyte. So you can see the pores directly comes into the spongocoel. So water comes in and they are directed upward through this osculum, the bigger part. So all the interior part, I mean immediate to the spongocoel, is covered with this canocyte lining. So they are called asconites. They are very simple. So when it comes to cyconites, with the evolution, the body size increase. They wanted a bit complex water canal system. So here you can see they have created a kind of folding. So those foldings are aligned with this canocytes, the collar cells. Here in this part you don't see any canocytes like this. Sorry, they are not not immediate to the spongocoel or the central cavity. So they have enfolded. So they have the canocyte layer inside that radial canal. We call them radial canals. So through that only the water. So water tend to be inside the body for a longer period, not like this, the simple one, asconite, coming and going out. No, they are retaining. I mean, they are being inside the body, circulating for a longer period than the asconite. So compared to asconite, in cyconite, the spongocoel is being reduced. The central cavity is being reduced. Is another difference that you can note. So the water comes in through the pores, it circulates through this radial canal and then reaches the central cavity and then goes up. So here the leuconide is the most complex one. So here you can see they have formed other like more complex than the cyconide, the small canals like thing inside the body. The spongocoel is being reduced to a great extent. It has become very narrow and small. So here the water comes in, it circulates through this. So another part of water can flow to this part and then here, and it can reach this way. So more the water is staying inside the body. So leuconide is kind of very complex one. So I hope that you understood all those three water canal system, very important in sponge. So when we come to the sponge reproduction, they show two different, I mean sexual and asexual one. So when it comes to sexual reproduction, mostly the sponges are hermaphrodites. So hermaphrodites means they can produce, the sponge, one individual can produce so they are hermaphrodites, which means the sponge, one individual, they can produce male gametes as well as the female gametes. So they can produce both the gametes, but not at one time, but seasonally. One time they can produce male gametes, another time they can produce female gametes. So that's very important to be considered. So typically only one type of gamete is produced per season. So the produced gametes, female or male, that reaches another sponge, they make the they produce the yes. So when they fertilize, they can be located in the, like they can be inside this mesenchyme. So in the middle the middle layer, and then they, when they, the larvae develop, they can leave the sponge body. So next is the asexual reproduction. There are 3 types. So first one is regeneration. So here please avoid this. Here it's not like explained here. This is regeneration. So here you can see the detached part or the broken parts of the sponge, they can grow as new individuals. So that's called the regeneration. Okay. The next one is budding. So the small bud that comes with attached to the parent body, they can detach, they can break off, and they can come as a new individual. That's called budding. And in fragmentation, the body part, the parent or the one individual can be broken into few pieces, which can, the every piece, they can come as new individuals. So that's called the fragmentation. Okay. So next we are going to study about the diversity. Okay. So first we have the glass sponges. So here you can see in the diagram, it's very clear. It gives a kind of glassy effect, very pale in color. There's no color at all. So they give a kind of glassy effect. So typically they live in deep sea environment. Most exhibit radial symmetry and commonly appear pale with regard to color and cylindrical in form. Okay. Most are vase shape, tube shape, or basket like shape. They can, like they can be very small, few centimeters, as well as they can grow up to 3 meters. Okay. So these spicules are arranged and fused network that gives the, so we know that the skeletons, they are attached and fused to give a kind of woven kind of, here you can see nicely. So that gives a woven kind of appearance. And the most familiar representative of the sponge just is the Venus flower basket. So next, so this animal, I mean the glass sponge, they can protect other animals. So here they have given a I have given a example about the stream. So the stream, they come into like they form a mutual so the stream, they come into mutual contact with this glass sponge. In return for protection and food, the stream, they clean the sponge. Okay. So next we have calcareous sponge. So these calcareous sponge they live in tropical marine environment. Okay. So the calcareous sponges have varied shapes, including tube-like, vase-like, and it's very irregular in shape. They are brightly colored, so that's very important to know. So their spicules, the skeleton is formed with calcium carbonate spicules. So that's how they got the name calcareous. Okay, they are the only class to have synconide, asconide, and leuconide forms. So it's very important to know that they have all three types. Okay. So demosponges, the next one is the demosponges. So these class are the most numerous of the sponges that contain 90 to 95%. So most of the sponges, Porifera phylum, they consist of this kind of sponges. So they are typically brightly colored, like calcareous one, they are brightly colored, and they can grow into like very big. They can grow very big. And these demosponges are asymmetrical forms, and they include varieties of shapes, including tube-like, cup-like, branch shapes. Like glass sponges, they have the leuconide body form. So glass sponges also have the leuconide body form. Demosponges also, they have the leuconide forms. But in the mid calcareous one, they have all three. Okay. And then demosponges are characterized by skeletons with spicules composed of collagen fibers called spongin. So it's very important to note that the demosponges, they have the spicules with the spongin. So spongin gives kind of flexibility. So that's important. So next, now we have almost reached the end part of this session. So we have a nice video to watch. So let's watch it.
Jonathan Bird's Blue World, Jonathan explores the biology of sponges, and you might be surprised at what he finds.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Bird, and welcome to my world. When people think of a sponge, they usually imagine something like this. A cleaning sponge for washing the dishes. Or for washing the car. Cleaning sponges are synthetic these days. But they used to come from the ocean. Back in the days before we had synthetic sponges for housework, cleaning sponges did come from the ocean. They were harvested by hard hat divers walking along the ocean floor in heavy weighted boots with a rake-like tool to pluck the sponges off the bottom. It was a dangerous and difficult job. Bagfuls of sponges were lifted to the boat above. Immediately, the crew set to work cleaning the sponges. Back in the days before we had synthetic sponges for housework, cleaning sponges did come from the ocean. They were harvested by hard hat divers walking along the ocean floor in heavy weighted boots with a rake-like tool to pluck the sponges off the bottom. It was a dangerous and difficult job. Bagfuls of sponges were lifted to the boat above. Immediately, the crew set to work cleaning the sponges. Then they were hung to air dry. After days or weeks at sea, when the boat was full of sponges, they were taken to shore where they were auctioned to the highest bidder. Finally, they were trimmed, sorted, and sold to the public.
Natural sponges are still harvested in nearly the same way today, but the synthetic sponge has spared the lives of countless ocean sponges.
While an ocean sponge looks something like a weird plant, it's actually an animal. In fact, sponges are among the simplest multicellular animals on Earth. They live on the bottom of the ocean, attached to a surface and never moving because they can't walk or swim. Some are quite colorful, while others are drab. They also come in all shapes and sizes. There are tube sponges, vase sponges, barrel sponges, rope sponges, encrusting sponges, and many other types. Sponges live from the frigid waters of the Arctic and Antarctic to the tropics. On many coral reefs, sponges dominate the seafloor and the drop-off. One of the most common sponges on coral reefs is the barrel sponge. Barrel sponges grow to epic proportions, getting larger than a person. Although sponges can't walk or swim, they can feed. They do it by filtering tiny plankton from the water. A sponge is covered with small pores called ostia, which lead to a system of internal canals and eventually out to one or more larger holes called oscula. Within the canals of the sponge, chambers are lined with specialized cells called choanocytes, or collar cells. The collar cells have a sticky funnel-shaped collar and a hair-like whip called a flagellum. The collar cells serve two purposes. First, they beat their flagella back and forth like fans to move water through the sponge. The water brings in nutrients and oxygen while it carries out waste and carbon dioxide. Second, the sticky collars of the collar cells pick up tiny bits of planktonic food brought in with the water. Sponges are very effective filter feeders since they're able to capture and eat particles as small as bacteria as well as larger particles. They might not look like they're doing much, but a simple demonstration shows how effectively sponges can pump water. On a reef in the Caribbean, I make a dive with a syringe filled with a non-toxic dye called fluorescein. By squirting it around the base of some sponges, we can observe how the water is moving by watching what the dye does. Within only seconds, the dye is pumped through the sponges along with the water. As you can see, a sponge is a pretty good water pump and also a good strainer. Any plankton that goes in with the water won't come back out through the osculum. Tube sponges are even more spectacular to observe. They pump the dye so furiously that they look like a collection of miniature smokestacks. The ultimate test is a hefty barrel sponge. What will a big monster like this do? It takes a few seconds for the dye to work its way through the sponge. Wait for it. But then it pours out like smoke from a chimney. That's pretty good pumping from those tiny little collar cells. Since sponges can't get together to reproduce, they spawn in a way similar to coral. The sperm is released into the water column by the male sponge. It finds its way to the female sponges where fertilization occurs internally. Eventually, the planktonic larvae are released from the female sponge and float around in the water column as plankton for only a few days. Then they settle down and start growing. Sponges don't have many predators. There's not much nutritional value in a sponge, and they're hard to digest. Hence, very few animals can eat sponges. But something was clearly eating this sponge. A sea turtle is the culprit. Sea turtles are one of the principal predators of sponges, along with a few species of fish and some invertebrates like nudibranchs. Sponges might not be very exciting, and they certainly don't have much personality, but they're an ancient animal that has been living in the oceans for at least 500 million years. They can't crawl around or swim, but they're very good at reproducing and feeding themselves by pumping water. So, chances are sponges will continue to populate the oceans longer than people will populate the Earth.